Hi. Just sending out all the tweets and all that kind of thing. Because that's what I do. Hey Ryan, I'm pretty good, not too bad. I mean, tired as usual, but you know, it's been a long week. A lot of things to do. I've been away for work in another city. Hey Sean, how's it going? I'm back. A bit later than I was expecting because I was just... do you know what I was doing? I was playing Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which I've been playing sort of on and off, you know, from time to time. And yeah, I just got to a bit where I had to wait until the cutscene had finished. It's weird because that game has had a pretty bad rap, from what I remember. You know, people weren't a huge fan of it. But then yeah, I've been quite enjoying it. It's not been bad at all. But yeah, hi, the Fake Genius, and Connor Wilson. Hi. I mean, we're all kind of in charge of the TCGS. Twitter/X account. I still don't like calling it X. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but I don't. And I don't think it's going to be X for forever, because I still think what's going to happen with that is Elon's going to it's eventually going to crash and burn because things are not going well as it would appear, you know, with advertisers pulling out and all that kind of stuff. And I'd imagine that what will happen is he'll end up either bankrupting it or just chucking it, and it'll get picked up by some other massive, you know, sort of conglomerate or something like that, and they'll probably rebrand it back to Twitter again. It'll never be the same, but, you know, that's what it is. Anyway, I'm going to continue playing Star Trek, because I enjoyed it last time, and I want to. I tell you what I am going to do, though, is I think I'm actually going to move my window down here. The reason being is I make it a bit smaller. Because what kept on happening is every time that there was a decision or whatever, I kept on missing things because they seemed to like to put it up in the top corner. So that's why that's getting moved slightly. So yeah, I should have done that before. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going on. It's yeah. Let's continue. I was thinking about Star Trek this week while I was away because I was watching it again, and I'm going through yet another run of the original series at the moment, and I mean it is incredibly dated, but one of the things I was thinking about this, and it's one of the reasons I still love it so much, is that part of the charm for it and part of the sort of the otherworldness of it is the poor quality of like the set design and stuff like that, particularly on planets. Like it looks so sort of, I don't know, it looks so dated that it does kind of look alien, if that makes any sense at all. And it has this wonderful atmosphere, I always feel. And so that's one of the things I've always enjoyed about that. It really does feel like it's another place, even though it's you know, so badly put together. You know, I guess, you know, from our perspective in modern times. But anyway, let's get going. Let's play. Yeah, I mean, Doctor Who is actually quite similar, Sean, I'd agree with that. There's also a sort of strange charm to some of the things that were put out during that time. I don't know, maybe it's partly nostalgia as well, isn't it? Like, it reminds you of, you know, of... I wouldn't say simpler times, because it wasn't, because there was a lot of bad things going on, you know, in the 80s and the 90s when I was growing up as well. But, you know, you still, yeah, it was still a slightly different environment to the one now. Anyway, let's continue with this. One of the things I'm most happy about this is they got the right uniforms, which is good, because these are my favourites. Yeah. Buffy wasn't that. It was great. I'm rewatching that at the moment with Rachel. She loves it. Pretty much the same, Connor Wilson. Pretty much the same thing.
Mr. Mr. Diaz, I understand you have already discussed the warp drive failure with Ambassador Spock.
I have.
Oops, sorry.
It is imperative that the Ambassador's shuttle be flight ready. I need you both to ascertain the root cause of the system failures he encountered.
I'm surprised, Commander. I thought you would have wanted to work on Ambassador Spock's shuttle yourself.
Bloody hell, where can I put
respect
this?
the Ambassador
Oh,
and
shit,
his
sorry.
many accomplishments. But I do not derive any satisfaction from interacting with his shuttle as if it were somehow
trying to move the
transubstantiated through its
other bit, not
association
the-
with him. Especially when I have the entirety of this starship to concern myself with.
Okay,
I am not the chief engineer of this shuttlecraft.
Commander Chovak, is there anything you do enjoy?
I take pleasure in the satisfaction of a job well done. I suggest you try it sometime. Make note of any abnormalities in your report.
there we go.
Carry on.
No, I mean, that
that
happened
a
because I couldn't read the subtitles, because
couldn't
they've
have
got
been.
everything in every corner of the screen, it
seems
feels
like
like.
he's warming up to us.
Yeah.
Even Chovak has to look at that face and know you've earned some real respect. And I have to admit that I owe you one.
Okay,
You were
let's...
right to make me go first. I don't know what I was thinking.
Oh, that'd be nice.
You've pulled me out of trouble how many times? Call it even.
Hey, Rudy.
Okay. At the very least, maybe I can track down that bottle of Saurian brandy you're still on the hook for. But first, we have work to do.
Ready to go?
All set. Let's run the diagnostic.
Okay, let's run the... It's pretty easy, isn't it? I mean, do you really need to go
I know about
training
your
for
talk with
ages to be able to do
Miranda.
that?
You do?
She sent me a priority
Drink
one
of choice
dispatch
today
right
is
after your
sparkling
conversation.
water.
I'm happy for you.
I haven't drunk
Both
it.
of
Actually,
you.
that's not true. This
Thanks.
week I've drunk
But
an
I'm
inordinate
only
amount
going to tell you
of
this
alcohol while I was
once.
away,
Don't
and it wasn't good.
screw this up.
So I'm
Because
back
I
on the
would be
water again
very
now.
unhappy if you tried this out and then, I don't know, 6 weeks or 6 days later, I have to start splitting holidays between the two of you. All because things went south and you're not on speaking terms. That just isn't gonna work for me.
You
Yeah, I'm
really
okay
don't
now
believe
with
in
the
me, huh?
pants
It's not
thing.
you. Or her.
In the
Just running
evening,
the
Colin
numbers
Ross
and
Wilson. In the evening,
Things don't work out more often than they do. I like my friends and I like our group. I don't want to lose that.
oh, I need
Is
to
that thing
concentrate.
ready?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
it's
Trill's
wrapping
being a
up.
bit annoyed.
Let's see. The relays along the primary EPS are blown. The backup relays are all intact.
An EPS overload from the warp drive could cause that. But how did the shuttle end up dead in the water?
Well, maybe the ship's data recorder can tell us something.
Okay, I think I'm supposed to press the button that says data recorder.
Here.
They were only about 8 minutes from their plotted warp point. No faults, just those warnings. What are they?
Okay, let's find out what the warnings are. Okay, so we had a
There
warp
was
car
a complete warp
cascade failure.
failure.
Wow. They're lucky the shuttle didn't turn inside out.
Makes me think the computer panicked on the warp field equation.
Okay, what's the other thing?
The warp
Field
field
inversion.
became inverted suddenly.
I've seen this happen when the center warp coil cracks.
A cracked warp coil throws a fault code.
Still, we should take a look.
What is her name? Because I've forgotten. It was a week ago. That's weird, isn't it, that you'd hold it like that? Like, I mean, why doesn't he just use a finger? Why is he going like that on everything? It's a bit odd.
Subspace variance out of tolerance. What does that mean?
It means the main navigation array lost sight of space somehow.
Will the array going offline cause that?
Yes, but it should have also thrown a fault code. Any one of these failures should have thrown a fault.
If it was caused by a system failure.
None of this caused the relays to blow. Roll forward to when that happened.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, okay, let's see what happened here.
So here, they take a moment to get their bearings and they attempt to re-engage the warp drive.
There. That's the relays blowing.
And look, there's another warp system alert.
They're all the same. Subspace variants out of tolerance, or warp inversions. Finally, there's a complete warp cascade failure.
Then it's one of two things. Either a warp coil is cracked,
I mean, it's
or
all
the
gone to shit,
navigation
isn't it,
array is
basically?
offline.
That makes sense.
I mean, the funny thing is, right, is I'm
Divide
saying
and
that
conquer.
because I'm
You wanna
doing
check the
this,
warp
obviously.
coils or the navigation array?
That's the kind of thing
I'll
they
check the
probably
other.
say on Star Trek Discovery.
Let's not overcomplicate
You know.
this. One of these systems is likely broken.
Which, you know, is... In a work environment, you probably wouldn't say. Let's go for warp coils.
I'll check the nacelles for a cracked coil.
Okay, so we're going to scan our nose with a tricorder. Use X to equip, and then R2 to scan. Okay, I could do that. I mean, this here is a nacelle, right there. See? And they're connected via the pylons to the main to the ship. They basically generate the warp field, Luke Cage. Anyway, let's get scanning. Oh, is that something? I mean, what is that? It? And what? I thought I was supposed to press. Okay, let's try again. I don't know really what I'm supposed to be scanning here, because it said to look for like these dots or whatever. It's out of range. Okay, so I need to get closer. Does this mean I've got to do them around the other side? Sorry, I'm being stupid here. Scan him. Oh no, sorry. It's the trill. There we go. During a deep scan, use L1 and R1 to switch between different scan modes and search for glowing objects. Okay, right, this is a bit like Power Simulator. Looks like we've got to like paint it. Okay, so there's no deviations with this. Okay. Aha, so I've got, okay, so I have to cycle through different device inputs. Okay, well that's all of them, right? So scan for radiation. So at the moment I'm using a tricorder to scan the nacelle on the side of the shuttle to see if there was any fractures, I think, which would have damaged the warp field, which then would have resulted in the event. So I think that's right. It says all anomalies scanned. What do I do to get out of this? I've forgotten. There we go. Basically, I'm scanning to try and find out why the ship, well, why the shuttle had problems.
I would have detected it. So
it looks like, yeah, it's not the engines,
Except
basically.
It's not. Checked
Although
and
she's saying that it's not the
double-checked.
navigation array
well,
either.
the readings don't lie.
Here comes the security detail for the way team.
That's the lady that I met in the sickbay, isn't it?
Hey,
I'm not here.
We're escorting the negotiating team to the surface as soon as they come down from the bridge.
By this
don't wanna
point,
interrupt someone
Colonist Wilson,
I was just
he's actually
hoping
dead,
to see
actually,
you
by this
before I
point,
go.
if you're going by the canon.
The captain and the
He's
others
not
will
in the
be here
Nexus
any
at this
minute
point.
now. Should be an interesting ride down to the
Um,
surface.
There you go, let's be nice.
Come on, I'm never too busy to make time for you.
That's not true.
No. But I am glad you came by.
No, that's more accurate.
I gotta be precise with you, huh?
Hey, Maris. Aren't these those button pushers you're always hanging out with?
And you're the
Yes, he
favorite
was
darky
killed by a
going to be in
cannon.
Parisi squares, right?
All aboard for Hotari.
That another one of the captain's
me,
girlfriends.
Spider-Man!
Gotta be. I just usually zone out by the time he gets to the whole steam engines where the warp drives at their day part. Catch y'all later.
Here he comes.
You don't want to miss your train.
I'm not a fan of the captain that much. He does seem to be a bit of a dick, doesn't he?
I do have to go. Not gonna lie, I'd rather not leave right now.
Go on, let's go for it.
More
Go on.
important things on my mind.
Oh, there you go. I mean, the lazy observation that it's to say that she's a bit like Beverly Crusher because of
That
the, you know,
was
the
nice.
hair color and everything, but she's not really.
Save some of that for when I get back.
Ah, poor Bev.
You got a deal.
Poor dull Bev. She's one of the. She wasn't a great character on TNG.
Be seeing you.
There we go, and they're off. Yeah, she was the Doctor.
Etzelarda Diaz.
She didn't
If
have
you
that
could
many
float
good
back down
stories.
to reality,
I'm
we
not a
still have a ways to
Pulaski
go.
man either. I mean, she was not great either. Neither of the Doctors
All
were
right,
really good on
where were
TNG.
we?
So, the warp coils in the navigation array are fine, but the nav computer doesn't seem to think so.
I'm out of ideas short of field stripping the shuttle from bow to stern.
Nah, I don't think so.
You wanna take this out of the shuttle and throw it on the bench?
I mean,
Oh,
if I'm
real
thinking
hands-on
best
maintenance.
Doctors, I mean, McCoy obviously he was great. I tell you what, I'm enjoying
Okay, the
Doctor
nav computer
Mbenga
is patched into the
in
ship.
Strange New Worlds.
ship's computer
He's
can
been
double-check
really
our
good
work.
so far.
If the shuttle's nav
Dr.
computer's
Bashir,
putting out
not too
false
bad. He
data,
got better as
we'll know
the
it.
run went on.
Let's run through the
And
shuttle
the
clock
EMH
again.
obviously was pretty good.
Running now.
Right, I've got to press something. Sorry, tired.
Same.
I mean, Beverly Crusher
Warp
was
field
one of
inversion,
the
cascade failure.
most redundant
However,
characters, I think, in
the
TNG.
Resolute computer doesn't show the same subspace variance.
We're in the same conditions that the shuttle was in when it failed. Why wouldn't the ship's computer get a matching result?
What if the subspace variance was a momentary occurrence?
That's a possibility, and it would explain why the simulation under our current sensor readings failed to reproduce the issue.
But a subspace anomaly strong enough to cause a warp field collapse would leave graviton ripples for days.
Yeah, Culper's not too
Let's
bad
run with the
actually.
momentary subspace
yeah,
variance
he was
theory
one
for
of
now.
the
Roll
better
forward
points,
the
I would say,
shuttle's
of
attempt to
Discovery.
re-engage the warp
But
drive. We need the
still,
conditions of space
Mbenga, I
around the
still
shuttle
think
at the
is
moment of warp failure.
leaps and bounds ahead.
Resuming simulation.
Error in warp field calculation. Cochrane formula variables are out of range.
That right there. Take the shuttle sensor data from that moment.
Computer, why did the warp field calculation fail?
Warp field pressure returned non-orthogonal. Results are undefined.
That doesn't help.
Wait, what if we use a different ship?
Put the Resolute into the simulation instead of the shuttle.
Yeah, it should warp just fine.
Yeah,
Unless-
exactly. That's the thing, isn't it? Everyone remembers that Ghost
Computer,
episode because it was
Run the simulation. with
truly
the Resolute.
awful.
Resolute simulated.
Computer, give me manual control on the warp power.
Static field intensity, warp 1.1. 1.2. 3. Warp pressure is destabilizing. Error in warp field calculation. The warp drive has experienced a system-wide cascade failure. Warp field collapsed. Subspace variance is out of tolerance. Cochrane formula results are undefined.
Bingo.
Whato?
The same moment when the shuttle failed to warp, so did the ship. Whatever happened to the shuttle just happened to us.
I mean, Sean, he's been doing great acting as well. He's been
We
great.
can't leave Hotari space.
He's absolutely probably my favourite character of Strange New Worlds. I mean, if you were going to start from scratch at this point, I probably would go with Strange New Worlds, honestly, because it's the most modern, but also easily the best of all of modern Trek, I would say. I mean, going back to the original series, TNG, and that sort of stuff would be a bit jarring, I think. You have to be in the right sort of frame of mind. Okay, this is called. Is this Seat of Power? Because I can't see because my monitor thing's over it.
Ambassador Spock, Captain Solano, welcome to Hotari. We are honored you have come. My name is Tyler Saltaris, Minister of Diplomatic Affairs.
Yo.
The honor is ours, and this is Commander Jara Rydick, first officer aboard the USS Resolute. You'll find she has a keen mind and unique insight into the dynamics between the Hotari and the Illydians.
We are honored to be here as representatives of the Federation.
I'm so glad.
These must be the representatives of the mighty Federation. The reigning authority in the galaxy. Or so we've been led to believe. Whether that's true or not remains to be seen. But, either way, we're grateful you've made the time to come to our little corner of the universe.
And you are?
This is Galvin, and this is Sidron, the heroes of the revolt in the mines.
That was a strange facial expression. Presumably these are the ones that were running the
Let's
mines.
hope this is the last time we ever have to come here.
If you'll excuse me.
I think we're about to begin.
Did you hear the arrogance from that guy? You know what we're
I think they are. I don't recognise them.
That guy was something.
Something about his tone tells me this won't be easy.
That was
Yeah,
my
I don't
sense
recognise
as
them.
well.
I doubt he speaks for all of Hotari. So I would urge patience until we speak with their queen.
I mean, that would be incredible, Colin Ross Wilson, seeing as it was set in the Delta Quadrant, which is, 70,000 light years away from the Alpha Quadrant, well, I'm assuming this is the Alpha Quadrant where this is being set, either the Alpha or the Beta Quadrant. Yeah, unless they found like a transport conduit. Doesn't look like it though. Let's show strength. I don't know why that is showing strength. I must try that later. So to show strength, I need to go
Welcome
and then
to
walk past.
Hotari Prime.
The honor is mine, Your Majesty.
That the Federation would send one of their most respected representatives is not only an honor to the Hotari people and their queen, but a recognition of our stature and importance.
Let's get on with it, shall we? With
think I will.
all due
Shall I?
respect to the Federation and their ambassador, they have no authority here.
Yeah,
we
it
are
didn't
not
work out so well, did it, Sean?
members of their alliance. We are not subject to their rule, nor yours. We demand the immediate
do not watch
return of
Picard.
all mining operations to Illydian control, as it
Apart
has
from the
been
last
for
series, that was
centuries
good.
and will be for centuries more. That has always been our understanding.
That understanding has changed.
Then you invite war.
And if you cannot remain silent, you will be silenced.
It's a bit aggressive.
But his point is well taken. What is the Federation's interest in this matter? Perhaps you would have us trade one oppressor for another?
The Federation remains neutral. Our only interest is the peaceful resolution
Because
of
we
this
want
conflict.
the minerals or
We are
whatever.
here at your request, Your Majesty.
For now.
Saying this wouldn't be easy was an understatement. I thought they wanted us here.
Was
We're
there
not liked.
something you wanted to say, Captain?
Oh dear.
No. My apologies.
That was a mistake.
And what about the Kobliad?
She's not part
She
of...
can speak for herself, can't she? Then let her.
What's she going to do? Why is she walking up there? She could have just stood there.
Now then, one should know their place. What you might be somewhere else is not what you are here. Which is standing before a queen. And a queen deserves respect. A bow is not too much to ask. Is Hotari Prime heart of the Hotari system?
I mean, yeah, no, I'm going to do
My
that.
apologies, Your Majesty. I meant no disrespect.
Yeah.
Better. You are Kobliad. Your people suffered brutal treatment at the hands of the Cardassians. Their injustice towards the Kobliad is as unimaginable as it is unforgivable. Not unlike how we have been treated by the Elidians.
As much as they'd have you believe they are the victims here, remember it was the Hotari who attacked us. Hundreds of innocent Elidians were slaughtered without mercy in those mines.
The blood is on their hands, not ours.
Quiet! If after all the Kobliad suffered, you finally had the chance to right that wrong, to get out from under their control.
It's tough, isn't it? Because probably, yeah.
Would you take it? Or would you negotiate a peace?
That's really tough. That's really tough. Because it's the cycle of violence. Oh, I'm gonna have to say I would right the
If
wrong.
the opportunity
That's terrible.
presented itself, and I wish that it had, more than you can know.
Because they
then
were
I would right the
brutal,
wrong
like what the Cardassians were
without
doing to these
hesitation.
people.
For the sake of the Kobliad, we suffered enough.
Of course you would. It would be foolish to do otherwise. The Federation is the most powerful, most advanced alliance in the galaxy. It's widely known we have an abundance of dilithium in our mines. And it's in your interest to secure a steady supply.
Your Majesty, if I may.
Ambassador Spock would have us believe you're here as a neutral party in the
Yeah, I'm
interest
hitting the renegade
of
trick. Yeah.
peace. So why are you really...
Right, let's dial it back. Let's dial it back a bit
I
here now.
want the truth, not your Federation rhetoric.
No, let's dial it
As
back a
Ambassador
bit.
Spock has said, we've come seeking a peaceful resolution to this conflict, and have no interest in your dilithium.
I'm not nearly as naive as you must think. The Federation has done business with the Elidians for decades, which makes me question your motives.
What they haven't said, but cannot deny, is a
Seems I've
simple
upset
truth.
both of them now.
The dilithium trade would not and will no longer exist without Elidian involvement. We created it for the benefit of everyone, especially the Hotari. We've given them warp technology. We've let them share in the profits. We've made their lives infinitely better than before dilithium was discovered.
Yeah, but if you've been
All of that goes
oppressing them-
away if the Federation turns a blind eye to their treachery.
That is enough of your lies! The Hotari are quite capable of running the mines. We've done so for centuries. So tell me, who deserves control of the dilithium trade and the mines on
No,
Tau?
this is horrible.
Who should the Federation recognize?
That's my feeling as well.
The Hotari or the Elidians?
Why do I have to decide? Oh, this
Only
is tough.
be one
Hang on,
or
which
the
one's
other.
which? Is the
Not
Atari
both.
the other ones, right? Okay, I'm gonna go with them because I don't trust the
If I have to
Elidians.
choose only one, Then it would have to be the Hotari.
Well said.
I don't trust the
Just
Illidians.
and wise Federation make any other choice.
This is
I mean, was that the right
the
thing?
Federation has lost all credibility.
Mines are ours. Lydia will not be deterred. We will take back our mines by any means necessary.
And you will see more blood spilled.
I am more than willing to address your concerns, Your Majesty.
Have I just kicked off a
Yours as
conflict?
well, Representative. But I suggest we could have a more productive conversation with a smaller group. Perhaps only the most essential representatives.
Thanks, Shy. So, Sean, what did you do? Which did you choose?
I suppose there is some sense to that.
I mean, they've been working
I hope we meet
the
again.
mines. So,
Commander
yeah, exactly.
Jara Rydek, Your Majesty.
It's been a pleasure, Commander Rydek.
I mean, we can cut out the middlemen, you know, the Illidians. They just seem to be profiting off other people's labour.
Spock and I will cover everything on the diplomatic front. You make nice with the locals and see if you can get some answers. We need to find out why the Hotari are so willing to risk war. What happened in those mines?
It kept me Spider-Man. Sorry. Right. Let's have a chat with some people.
The captain and ambassador have it handled. I've got my own mission.
What's he up to? Okay. I'm going to appreciate some water.
Soothing.
Commander, I'm glad you've chosen to side with the Hotari. I knew the Federation would see through the Illidians' baseless claims and protect the interests of my people.
Even though the Hotari should have control of the mines, some of the Illidian claims are still valid.
There you're wrong, but we can agree to disagree.
I mean, I didn't say that any of their claims are valid. I just said that they're not going anywhere.
I assume you were there the day the mines were seized from the Illidians.
Not seized, reclaimed, and restored to their rightful owners. Yes, I was there. We had to be decisive, before the Illidians could even realize their worst nightmares upon them.
Were the Hotari miners armed during the revolt? I'm just trying to understand how it happened.
If by that you
expect they
mean
were.
armed with centuries of abuse and exploitation at the hands of the Illidians, then yes.
Good dodge.
Which doesn't really answer my question.
We had them vastly overwhelmed from the start. They respect one thing above all else, and that is force.
Why did he do that?
The greater the force, the more certain the outcome. Any talk of making peace is just that, and worth little without the strength to secure it. Which makes me wonder about your ship, the Resolute. Undoubtedly the Federation's finest warship.
Well, that's bollocks.
Ready to contend with anything.
I mean,
the
you've still
Illidians
got,
might
like,
have in
a
store.
whole ton of ships that are around at this time.
Or is that not true? Maybe I've misjudged it.
No need to worry. Even in a worst-case scenario, the fleet is always within reach.
But it would
It is a
probably
science
take
ship,
them
but it's
quite
not like the
some time to
Defiant or
get
whatever.
here.
Maybe. Or we might have other ships in the sector.
Of course.
Sidron.
A pleasure meeting you, Commander. I'm sure we'll cross paths again.
Do you know, I'd love a game that sort of went into the, like, intricacies of everything after the Dominion War. But then, I mean, I know that Star Trek Online's done that, but I mean like a
Commander Rydek,
game that isn't an
I'm
MMO.
encouraged to see the Federation supporting my people. I'm afraid of what might happen without your help.
The Elydians have no right to your land. It was clear which side was more deserving of our recognition.
It's so different to have someone on our side.
I'm sure it is a
These
good
are
game,
unusual times,
Shy,
to
but
say
it's
the
also an
least.
MMO,
Much has
which
changed.
means I'm very
I
unlikely
saw
to
you
play it.
speaking with Sidron, our national hero.
I have been thinking, I mean,
I'm
Sean
curious, what did he
Bell,
say?
I was talking
He
with him
seems to be of
earlier
the
today
opinion
about
that negotiating
maybe
for
it'd be a
peace
good
is a
idea to
waste
do
of
some more
time.
Star Trek games
Because
actually over
force is the only blunt
time of the
instrument he
stream.
understands. He's a miner, not a diplomat.
I was thinking of going back to some of the old PC ones.
For the first time in our history, the Hotari have the upper hand.
Oh, dear.
We see ourselves as strong instead of downtrodden. New
I mean, not to
voices
like
have
play them all the
risen
way
up.
through maybe, but just to get a bit of a
Voices
taste of
shut
them.
down.
Stuff like, you know, 25th
That was
anniversary and
Sidron,
Judgment
one of the
Rights.
national heroes.
Maybe even Starfleet
They
Academy,
have the Queen's ear.
another interplay game, because that was
Better or
very good.
worse, depending on your perspective.
I don't know what she was saying. I was just listening to myself talk.
I
Which is
assume
bad.
they've taken your place.
I was one of the Queen's most trusted
Yeah, I can't.
advisors.
I'm not showing episodes, but some
And I hope
older
to prove myself
games I
worthy
think
of
would be
being
good.
So again, which is why you're here.
I mean, 25th anniversary
My
was
fear
great.
has been that the Elydians will launch an attack.
It was
and
like fully
crush
voiced
us.
by the original cast.
You've seen their starship, no doubt. They could have retaken the mines whenever they wanted to, but it never happened. And as strange as this may sound, I'd almost say they're afraid. I just don't know what they're afraid of. It's
It really
the
was,
same
yeah, with the
bluster and
voiceover, it was
bravado
very
you'd
good.
expect from them. But it has no teeth. Like they're afraid of what might happen.
Was it for fear of the repercussions, once the Federation became part of the equation?
Possibly. But I almost want to say this was from the very start.
There was a whole bunch of
Before engaging the Federation
like
was even on
FMV
the
style
table.
games that came out during the TNG era. Like there was Borg and there was like the Klingon one. I mean,
Since the
almost
day of
certainly
the
they're
revolt,
downloadable
Galvin has
somewhere.
seized
I mean,
control
that'd
of
be
the
quite
mines and
interesting. Yeah, the
restricted
Q
all
one was with the
access.
Borg.
No
But there
one's
was
allowed to
also a
use
Final
personal
Unity, which was the micropose one.
And they've taken over a section of the palace with just as much secrecy and security. I'm
I
told
remember.
it could be
Oh, do you know
something
what I
they
remember
brought
from
back
that?
the mines. I've made inquiries,
Hang on,
but
I've
everyone
just got to
pretends it
stop
doesn't
talking. I need to
exist.
concentrate.
I strongly suspect they're hiding something.
Are you sure of this?
It's been the talk of the palace since the day of the revolt.
How can we know?
I'd better see what's happening.
Oh, Joe, I missed that whole conversation nearly because
Do
I
you
was
think you
talking.
can find out what they're hiding? I need to see proof of something before I can make my case to the Federation.
I can try, but even if I found it, I might not know what to make of it.
Take this. You can use it to capture whatever you find, and then send it to me.
Thank you. I will let you know what I find. And I look forward to our meeting again.
Well, that was easy.
Sorry, I couldn't help but notice you were speaking with the Hotari this whole time. I figured in the interest of fairness, I should offer another
Go on then.
perspective.
Give it a try.
I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know, but these negotiations rely on the Federation's neutrality, as does any hope you might have for a supply of dilithium in the future. So, why you would choose to side with the Hotari escapes me. Without Elydian involvement, there is no dilithium trade. Clearly, you weren't aware.
Of all my concerns, dilithium is not one of them. I could care less about securing a supply.
I
now
couldn't
or in the
care
future.
less about securing
I'd
a
be
supply.
curious to know if
Couldn't
the rest
care
of the
less.
Federation shares your indifference. Major Salit Arminta, Special Attaché, Elydian Armed Forces. Pleasure to meet you, Commander. I have my issues with the Hotari, but I have to give them some credit. They know how to seize an opportunity. inciting an uprising the same day as a massive once-in-a-lifetime ion storm.
Our assumption was that this storm was just an anomaly.
Yes, a very convenient anomaly. At least that was what we were told. Of course, I wasn't there. But who am I to say otherwise?
You sound skeptical.
Well, the official story is that it was the storm that enabled the revolt. How else do a bunch of unarmed, unorganized miners seize control of an entire moon, much less thousands of mines? But I've talked to people who were there. They tell a different story. They say they're lucky to have escaped with their lives. That it was more than just the storm. That somehow the miners were able to harness the energy from the storm. I know it sounds crazy.
It does sound
sure
crazy.
I believe it myself. But that's what they said.
The energy readings we've seen are off the charts. There's no way they'd be able to somehow harness it. That sort of technology doesn't even exist.
I know. I felt the same way. But each person told the same story. If you'll excuse me, Commander Ryder.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to say, like, from remembering about a Final Unity, the TNG game, there's one part of that which I still get goosebumps thinking about, honestly. Hey, Ben. And what it is it was when you're on the ship, like on the Enterprise, you can go to the screen to set a course, you know, for another system. And it has this brilliant, like, it has music which is obviously like the sort of the Star Trek sort of theme music, but the way that it's arranged is just really sort of like mysterious sounding, and it has all like the, you know, the star map and everything, and it always just gave me chills. That did it. Just, I love that so much. It's because it's one of the things I've always had my whole life. Actually, was I remember as a child, you know, like at night I would sit in bed and, like, you know, leave, like, you know, lay down and, like, have the curtain for the window open and just looking up at the stars. And it used to just give me the weirdest feeling, you know, just looking at the stars. I've always loved it, and that's one of the reasons I think where I got into Star Trek, really, was it's just the unknown, you know, and the vastness of everything. It's just, it gives me chills every time. Anyway, enough stories. Let's yeah, it's a point and click. It is a point and click with some not very good space combat. Like, the space combat in 25th Anniversary is basic, but it's and kind of like stupid, but it still is quite fun because it's because of how basic it is. The one in the Final Unity is kind of complicated and weird. Although maybe that's just because I was young when I played it, and if I went back and played it now, it wouldn't be so difficult. Oh dear, I remember that. Let's have a look at some banners.
They seem proud of their culture. Pride can lead to rash action.
Yeah. When they're like Brexiteers, like they've got flags everywhere. I mean, if you're thinking, so if I mean, okay, 25th Anniversary and Judgment Rights were pixel art games, I guess you could say. I need to go put the fan on in a minute.
Well, that was a disaster.
What happened?
The Hotari refused to concede anything, so the Illydians stormed out.
The Hotari did not invite us here as peacekeepers. I hope your efforts were more fruitful than ours.
That's a good question, Cornelius Wilson. I don't know, honestly. I mean, there's never been one that's been like utterly perfect, but they've all had something generally. I really enjoyed the Birth of the Federation game.
Gravitational harmonics failing to resolve.
Used to play as the
Warp bubble
Romulans.
stability degrading. Increase output
It was like
to
Civilization, but kind of. What am I doing here? Oh, there we go.
Increasing warp output to maximum.
It's happening again.
Oh dear.
It is evident that presently the Resolute cannot achieve warp propulsion.
Since our diagnostics rule out any problems with our warp systems or anything about the ship, the problem appears to be the fabric of space itself.
Space itself? You're saying something about this region of space prevents warp travel?
Prevents it, or can't sustain it.
However improbable, that appears to be the case.
The storm didn't stop us from leaving space dock and traveling here. But could it still be causing this interference with warp travel?
It's possible.
We must follow sound investigatory principles. Do not let an assumed conclusion drive your analysis.
Sometimes we need a little inspired thinking, Mr. Chovak. Captain Solano is on his way back from the negotiations, and I want to have some answers for him when he gets here.
Indeed. Given the facts at hand, we may be able to deploy subspace probes around the ship to construct a clearer picture of the phenomenon.
Around the ship. I'll prep a shuttle.
Setting up a waypoint at a distance roughly corresponding to the edge of our warp field. When we get there, I'll deploy the first probe.
Right, so here we go. So flight user to fly forward, to turn. Okay, that's seems relatively straightforward. Apart from the controls, we crashed into the ship then. I think okay, I need to see if I can change the controls because that's really annoying. It's on invert Y, but it's not an invert Y for the when you're in the shuttle. Irritating.
Commander Westbrook, the Resolute systems are calibrated to receive the probe's readings. We are standing by to reproduce the warp field collapse after the first probe is deployed.
Thank you, Mr. Chovak. We'll be in position shortly.
And, Mr. Diaz, do take
I mean,
care
Lower
of
Decks is a
piloting the
weird one
shuttlecraft.
because when
Now is
it
not the time to
first
indulge in the
came
human
out, I was
penchant
not
for
a huge
joyride.
fan of it, but I've grown to enjoy it,
Chovak
and
probably
it's
isn't
not
such a
too
fun guy
bad.
to work for.
Again, it's one of the better things about
I always seem to find a way to
Modern
push
Track,
his buttons.
and I enjoyed the crossover with Strangely
Blast me
Worlds.
out of the airlock if he thought it would help increase engine efficiency by 0.1%.
Well, don't worry about it. Chovak's opinion isn't the only one that matters. Last time I checked, I was still Chief Science Officer, and you made a hell of an impression on Ambassador Spock. I'm the one who should be worried with this new First Officer.
You should, Ben. It's good. Honestly, it's good.
This is far enough. Transporting the first.
I mean,
probe into
like Lower
position.
Decks, you just have to look at it as being like, it's not really Star Trek, it's just kind of like, you know, I mean, it is Star Trek, but it's not proper Star Trek.
The first
It's
probe
just a
is
bit of fun, you know?
Understood. We are reading it. We are about to replay the simulation.
Problem?
Just can't get a handle on her. Commander Rydek. She rejected my plan to use a deflector pulse against the storm surge. But on the other, she did listen to my advice and use the whole polarity trick to get you through that excursion alive. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the new XO. I'm sure she's a fine officer, even if we don't see eye to eye. But she didn't go through what the rest of us did. You know that. And it's hard to figure out why she'd be the one Solano chose instead of, well, one of us.
I've heard some good things. You should at least give her a chance.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll take that under advisement.
Test is running. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1, mark.
That was weird.
Whoa. All right, that is definitely a problem with the fabric of space. We need to get another probe out there. With 2 points of data, the Resolute and the probe, we've managed to get an interference pattern. I'm setting a waypoint to a particularly strong area of interference. We'll deploy the second probe there.
Good plan.
Listen, I'm gonna give you a piece of advice I wish someone had given me. Make sure you're never just one thing. Don't get so focused on what's in front of your face that you lose sight of the big picture. Before Rydek showed up, the captain pulled me into his ready room and told me he didn't think I had the people skills to be first officer.
Well, it's pretty obvious he was right.
What a load of crap. I mean, if he'd said that about Chovak, sure.
I appreciate the advice, Commander. I'll make sure I keep my options open.
I don't need to tell you how to operate. You're already well.
I'm still enjoying this. I mean, it's
You're a capable engineer. You're good in the field. Keep up the good work.
I mean, the only problem is I keep talking, which means I'm missing bits.
Commander-in-Chief of Starfleet one day. Hell, Admiral Jellicoe started as a shuttle pilot. And there are places to go in the enlisted ranks, too.
I don't know. I'm pretty happy where I am.
You must be a glutton for punishment. Lieutenant Commander Chovak has been known to take decades to warm up to people.
It's just the vastness of space, man. It just excites me.
Here, this is close enough. Stop the engines. Deploying the probe. Westbrook to Commander Chovak.
I don't know, Ryan, actually. I mean, I've not played enough of Starfield. I've only... since I talked about it on the show, not last week, but the week before, I haven't played it since. I mean, mostly because I've been away, but also because I just haven't felt like it. I will go back to it, I think.
It seems to be directional.
Well, what about the scans?
But then I've also been tempted by Baldur's Gate as well. But again, that's another massive game.
Here's the readings in relation to our local space.
There's not enough time in the day.
We've got the Resolute, Otari Prime, and the probes.
All this interference is overloading the sensor buffers. We're gonna have to triangulate the sensors manually.
Yeah, go about this one. Right, so what have I got to do here? Oh, hang on, this one. How do I do it then? I'm not sure about that actually with Liza P, because it does look interesting. But I don't know.
We got something.
These markers indicate peaks in the gravimetric interference patterns.
Let's see if I can find some more.
I found that one. I mean, it's not letting me do anything, is what's weird. What's on Game Pass? Oh, Liza P. If it's on Game Pass, I'll give it a go. Still keep meaning to go back to Dark Souls as well and play Dark Souls 3. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing here. I mean, potentially I'm going to go back to Starfield, but I'm not sure yet. Oh, this is a bit annoying. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Because I found one of these. I'm pressing buttons, but nothing happens. And I can't find it. Right, let's just... Look, if I go like that... Oh, there we go.
Hold up. This is coming from the moon.
A beam that blocks warp travel.
Aimed right at us.
Someone is doing this intentionally. I don't know how they're doing it. This is like nothing I've ever seen.
Why would they be doing this? We came here to help these people.
That's the problem, Lulu, isn't
Now we're
it? It's
getting hit
like,
by
because
some
it's just so massive
warp-killing
and
weapon?
there's so much to do, it kind of
Look here.
feels like a big commitment.
Current readings of the ion storm.
These concentrations, they line up with the interference pattern.
It's the other issue I've had with the idea of playing
And
Baldur's
this
Gate
beam,
3.
They're coming from the same place.
Carter, whatever petty local conflict brought us here, it's just a small part of something much bigger.
Guys, this is classic stuff.
Presently, we don't have an explanation for how they're doing this. One thing is clear. This is no fluke.
Thank you, Mr. Westbrook. I want a full briefing when I'm back on board. Solano out. A targeted weapon that inhibits warp travel. Coming from the moon Tau.
That would explain the difficulties my shuttle encountered. More importantly, the tenor of the Hotari during the negotiations.
And here I thought the Elydians would be the problem. Coming to peace talks in a warship. This wasn't supposed to be so complicated.
We're right to be worried. If they're targeting the Resolute and we can't go to warp, that effectively leaves us at their mercy.
Which puts us in a rather difficult position.
Especially if they have more tricks up their sleeve.
Tylus, the Hotari representative, said she thought they found something in the mines. Galvin and Sidron brought it back to the palace, but they're keeping it under tight security. She's going to investigate it. I gave her my tricorder. I expect she'll contact us soon.
You found an ally.
Why would Tylus help us? Go behind her people's back? It's a fair question, considering.
She's worried that her people are being dragged into something that isn't going to end well for them.
I need to go back to The Expanse as well, because I
She's
didn't
trying to
realise that
save
episode
them.
4 had come out already. Need to play that.
That may be true.
She's certainly more likely to help than the other Hotari we've met.
That raises another question. Specifically, what do the other Hotari have to gain in bringing us here, only to make this hostile maneuver against us? There must be some motivation.
Unless they changed their minds between when they asked and when we got here.
It doesn't make
That's
sense.
the thing. It doesn't make sense to bring us here. Tylus said that Galvin and Sidron have restricted access to the mines, even to the Hotari. So they don't want anybody to learn what they've found.
Then calling in the Federation is a funny way of going about it. I don't think the Elydians know what's really down on that.
I mean, the
one
last episode 5's out in
Major
6
Armintas
days.
said the revolt defied
The Expanse.
explanation. That the Hotari miners somehow harness the energy of the storm.
Harness the energy of the storm?
Doing that is beyond even our capabilities.
So is a weapon that disrupts warp travel.
There have been civilizations and entities, both past and present, far more technologically advanced than the Federation.
The Elydians and Hotari don't fall into that category.
But that is all the more reason to investigate further.
Commander Rydek, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, man.
We received an urgent call from Hotari. The Queen's advisor, Tylus, has asked to speak with you.
Put her through.
I think it's all about to kick off.
Galvin and Sidron are still with the Queen. I've enlisted help to gain access to the room they have under guard. I don't have much time.
I'm not supposed to leave my post.
I think it's highly unlikely Starfield's even going to be in.
I so appreciate your help.
I found something. I'm sending you a scan.
Got it. Tylus, if we needed to gain access to the mines on Tau, is that something you could help us with?
I suppose it wouldn't be easy, but I have to go.
Tylus.
Can we reconnect?
Sorry, Captain. We've lost all contact.
We can only hope she escaped without harm.
It was hard to tell.
We have to help her. Send another shuttle.
We're
or
not
maybe...
doing anything yet. Not until we know more. Let's see the scan of whatever the
Yeah,
hell that
Pikmin
was.
4. What a game.
Tyler suspects this came from the mines on Tau.
It appears to be of ancient origin, but the markings are unfamiliar.
Probably because it's of ancient origin.
We can run a full analysis when we get back to the Resolute. But if this came from the mines, then it might be the key to how they got the upper hand against the Illydians.
Then we have to go into the mines.
I mean, I can turn that up
The
a bit.
Federation would not allow that. We're, after all, sent here to be a neutral party in a peace negotiation. However, we could demonstrate that the Hotari have acted in bad faith, which would enable us to investigate the mines on Tau with full justification. But of course, we would need conclusive proof before taking action. Otherwise, it could put us in a difficult position.
Alright, let's just say the Federation doesn't have to
What
know.
the Federation doesn't know won't hurt them. If I do it right, nobody will know I was there.
Commander, I'm surprised at you.
We may have a better understanding once we analyze the device.
I mean, I don't
But
think the
mission to
device is
mines,
proof of anything. It's
covert
just a
or
thing, isn't it?
otherwise, is not out of the question. And I will handle the Federation.
As I was telling Carter, I want all the data I can get on this warp problem. And the negotiating team's shuttle has been recording data all the way back from Hotari. Even better than our probes. So pull the sensor and engine ISOs from the Melville when it sets down.
Will do.
I'll join you and Chovak down in engineering to run another analysis after the briefing.
Sounds good.
I didn't like this warp problem when we thought it was some astronomical anomaly. And I like it a hell of a lot less now that we know someone is doing it to us. How does it work? What do we even do about it?
What do you say we pull these chips and find out?
Took some damage on the way. That ionic interference scored the hull
So I'm
plating.
guessing I'm going to have to
Might
be
some
doing
micro-welds.
tool work again
Let's
here.
try pulling together.
All right.
3, 2, 1. It won't budge. Gotta be the storm damage.
Just get a hammer.
We need to... Welcome back. Any excitement down on the surface?
Excitement? No. Nothing like that.
Hey, can you hand me the EJ7 interlock? From the toolbox.
I don't know what that is.
Not much use for one on a security detail, huh? Carter?
Yeah, I'll get it.
What's up here? Why is they all upset?
Okay, I'll apply pressure while you decouple the panel.
Always stay professional.
Here, I'll help.
Hurry.
We've got this.
Open up and say ah.
Thanks for the hand. We have to get these isolinear chips down to engineering.
No problem. You really know everything about these ships, don't you? The tools, the systems. Like a walking Starfleet technical manual.
I thought security was the detail to be on. Now all of a sudden
I didn't
you're
drink
interested in
anything on the
engineering?
job, Cornelius Wilson.
Just the engineer.
Come on, start pulling chips.
I wish I could pull them out like Data did when he was trying to save Lowell. Oops. What's that?
What's this?
Some kind of crystal formation?
Whoa. This substance is a quantized spin crystallization of hydrogen, carbon, and lithium. It's emitting tetrametric pulses at an interval of 3.8422
Yeah, that was really
seconds.
weird. I mean, that's when we found out that he was fully functional,
I mean, it's
programmed
only
in
theoretical
multiple
as a means to
techniques.
engineer matter on a subatomic level.
Oh man, it's gross.
What's it doing in there?
Wait. Regulation 364, subsection 9.
What?
Regulation 364, subsection
I know
9
to use some
orders that in the
Toms or
case of an
something.
unknown foreign substance infiltrating a sealed system, it
Yeah,
will
some
be
like
placed
kitchen
in secure
Toms or whatever to
confinement
go and
before
pick it
further
up.
examination. Retrieve a containment module.
Don't you think we're more equipped to
I
deal
just need
with
that and
whatever
maybe
this
some kitchen
is?
Toms and a paper towel.
No. Before anything else, this
Yeah,
is a
freezer bag
security
would
issue.
also work.
You don't even know what this is.
Which is why we need to study it.
Once it's contained.
Well, if it's not natural, then someone might have put it there. It could be a tracking device, some kind of sabotage, or even a bomb.
Which is why we need to get it to the containment lab.
Come on.
I can't make an exception. Not even for you.
I'm still going to report these crystals to Commander Westbrook when we send the shuttle data.
And I will inform my superiors. I'm taking this just as seriously as you are.
More so.
But I overheard talk about the warp disruption on the shuttle. Now these crystals? Maybe this situation is more than we can handle with just a science vessel. We could trigger a distress call, get Starfleet to send more ships. Or I could send a message to my old CO on the Adirondack. Get some combat-tested vessels.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah.
If you think you could do it without getting in trouble.
I'll find a way.
I don't know if I can I boost the what's it called, the dialogue. See, everything's turned up to max, and if I turn up the other volume any more, it will sound ridiculous, is the problem. But the
Okay,
sound
stand
mix is
back.
very strange on this. Unless I've turned down the music volume a bit and the sound effects. There we go. And then I can turn this up.
Get this to the containment lab. We'll get it set up for you. I'll let you know when it's safely
any better?
confined.
Oh, we'll be there.
Last thing you want is to study this down in main engineering and have it explode next to the warp core. Almost forgot.
Can't have that.
For a second, I thought she'd gone cold on you. Like she might have changed her mind. But I guess this whole situation has her spooked. Maybe she knows more than us? Or it's because this is all happening so fast?
Well, of course she's taking it seriously, but that's her job. When she's on duty, she's got to be on the lookout for danger.
Yeah, but talking about sending a distress call on her own? That's going too far. Although, you didn't seem to think so.
Well, no, if we can get some help.
She was probably just thinking out loud. I'm sure she'll come to her senses. This mission has enough complications stacking up.
Now, we'll get through it. You, me, and Miranda too.
Commander Rydek was able...
Okay, I need to get some more water because I'm really hot. 1 second. Right. I'm back. Right, there we go. I'm back.
The work behind the scenes during the negotiations.
More sparkling
Made
water.
contact with a representative from the Hotari delegation named Tylus. She mentioned an unusual artifact of unknown origin being held under tight security within the Hotari Palace, which she believes came from the mines on Tau. Now, this artifact might have a connection to the revolt, to the storm, and to the warp disruption we now know has been targeted at the Resolute. Commander Rydick?
It's not flavoured, no. I'm trying to give up drinking so much like Coke Zero and stuff, so I still like the bit of a sparkle, so I'm trying to go for this.
Heavily guarded
You get used to it, it's not
within
too
the
bad.
palace, and sent us these scans using my tricorder. It appears to be some sort of control panel, possibly connected to the warp
The key thing is it has to come out of the fridge.
Of
If it's not cold, then it's gross.
This symbol,
If it's cold, it's not so
couldn't
bad.
identify the origin of.
The Federation database has records from a vast number of civilizations. If anyone from Starfleet has come across this before, the system should recognize it.
Cross-referencing with Federation records.
Displaying symbols from Federation database with a 90% probability of match or higher. Select a symbol to further analyze.
Okay, let's do some analysing. Let's see if I can get these. Okay, so Klingon Empire. I don't know what that one is. Not sure. Not sure. I mean, this is embarrassing now. I don't know what any of these are. Not that one. Hang on. This is... I don't think it's that one. It's this one, I think. No, it's not. Nah, it's not that one. Let's try again. This is quite difficult, isn't it? Is it this one? No, it's not that one. Or maybe it is that one. No, it's not. That one? Yeah, it's that one. It's got to be.
99.2% match.
Got it.
So, what are we looking at?
The design and composition indicate this is a glyph associated with the ancient Khan Empire. Their civilization collapsed over 600,000 years ago, but once spanned millions of systems with a population numbering
There's
in
loads of those in
trillions.
Star Trek.
Fascinating. The Takan were once the most advanced, most powerful civilization
It's
in
like
the
the
galaxy.
Iconians, isn't it?
Is it possible the Hotari found Takan technology?
I wonder if they even know what they have.
Our knowledge of the Takan is limited. I have only encountered passing references to them.
We don't have the first idea what this is or what it means. And we have all of the Federation records available to us.
Perhaps we should see what else the Federation records show.
Computer, what is the last recorded discovery of other
Oh
Takan
wow, okay, yeah,
artifacts?
I've completely forgotten about these. But
On
this is
Stardate
having a look, this
4138.6.4,
is a
the
thing.
USS Enterprise D, under the command of
Yes.
Captain Jean-Luc Picard,
There you go,
discovered
it's
a
TNG
Takan
era.
outpost in the Delphi Ardu system. According to the mission summary, an unbreakable energy-draining field was deployed against the Enterprise and a Ferengi ship. The Enterprise was only able to escape after negotiating their release with an entity known as Portal 63, Guardian of the Takan
Was this
Empire.
when?
Unbreakable energy.
Is this the episode where they
Starts to
they
make
first
sense.
encounter the Ferengi?
What else is there?
There's
And
a
they had
lot
like the
here.
laser whip things.
Let's take it piece by piece.
You're right,
Select
Shai.
the
I
aspect you
thought
wish
so.
to learn more about.
The technology to capture and hold the Federation flagship would have to be unbelievably powerful. Computer, what else can you tell us about the energy-draining field the Takan used?
The Enterprise D was unable to break free on its own. The precise nature of the technology was never fully understood. Only that the crystalline technology used was
Yeah, they
beyond the
were
comprehension
were
of
amiss,
then
weren't they, when they
current
first
Starfleet
appeared?
science.
The engineering team
They
found a
became far more
quanti-spin
interesting
crystal
later.
formation in the shuttle you took to Hotari. They registered tetrametric radiation coming from it.
We have Takan technology on board right now?
We might. I'll run a full analysis in the containment lab.
There appears to be some sort of restriction order from Starfleet. Computer, explain this restriction.
A Starfleet directive similar to General Order 7 forbids entering the Delphi Ardu system or attempting to make contact with Portal 63.
Okay, so this is a
Starfleet doesn't throw up a no trespassing sign for just anybody.
this is a Talos
Suppose it makes
situation, isn't
sense
it?
considering what happened to the Enterprise D.
What sort of planet is Delphi Ardu 4?
Delphi Ardu 4 is an M-class planet, a barren rocky world with little to no vegetation and frequent ion storms. The giant crystals that grow there absorb energy, but it is not understood how they do so. The entire Delphi Ardu system, consisting of 11 planets, was considered completely uninhabited until the encounter with Portal 63.
Frequent ion storms. That can't just be a coincidence. Someone from the Takan Empire is actually still around.
Or at least was, 16 years ago.
Computer, what other information do you have on Portal 63, Guardian of the Takan Empire?
The entity known as Portal 63 is of an unknown nature. A biped humanoid, he was unaware that the Takan Empire no longer existed at the time of the encounter. He was able to control the crystal-based technology of the Takan outpost through apparent telepathic means. It was by his choice that the Enterprise was released from the energy-draining field after Commander William T. Riker of the Away Team argued on behalf of both Starfleet and the Ferengi.
Telepathic control of their technology.
As I have said, they were the most advanced civilization in the galaxy.
The Elydians should have crushed the revolt. But if the Hotari have Takan technology and can control it, I see why they're willing to negotiate peace.
Does make a
For
lot
all
of
we
sense.
know, this could be just the beginning. And we're up against something greater than we can imagine.
For now, it's probably best we don't let on how much we know.
Play our cards close to the vest. Smart. I agree. Then when the time is right, we can confront them.
Diplomatically, of course.
Right.
We've been able to triangulate the source of the ionic interference and warp disruption to a specific mine on Tau.
Looks like we're going to a
Engineering
mine.
used the latest data from your shuttle to pinpoint its origin. There.
So we know where to look.
We need to know what's down there. What the Hotari are hiding, to better understand what we're up against. And to neutralize it if we can.
Captain, embarking on a mission to the Hotari moon would not be viewed favorably by either side. However, given the circumstances, we are entirely within our rights to defend ourselves.
I just want to make sure this doesn't blow up in our faces. Which is why I'm thinking of sending Commander Rydek on a covert mission to Tau.
Makes sense.
Assuming you're up to the task. It would require absolute secrecy. And obviously, it's not without risk.
I'll get the away team in and out. They're in safe
I mean,
hands
he's not
with
great,
me.
is he, this captain?
Under normal circumstances, that would be the case. Given the sensitive nature of this incursion, I'm afraid you'll have to go it alone. I'm hoping Tylus can accompany you. The priority is to avoid detection.
So going it alone
It's a
apart from one
calculated
other
risk.
person.
The last thing we need is to get caught and then blamed for violating our neutrality and aggravating an already tense situation. We can't afford any mistakes, which is why I've chosen you.
Tylus will be essential to my success. Not only her knowledge of the mines, but her ability to gain access, particularly now that we know which mine we need to get into.
Make sure she understands the need to keep this covert.
She's not going to want her people to know about this.
Get in touch with Tylus and make the necessary arrangements as discreetly as possible.
Bridge to Captain Solano. The Illydians have moved additional ships to the edge of the Hotari system. Current heading is straight for the homeworld.
Understood.
It would seem we no longer have the luxury of waiting. In that case, may I suggest you and I return to Hotari Prime? Doing so will provide Commander Rydek as much time as possible to complete her mission.
Agreed. We'll hail the Queen's delegation from my ready room. We all know what we need to do. Dismissed.
Well, okay, so we're on our way down to the mine. Yeah, how are my relations? Okay. Okay, everyone seems to like me a lot. He doesn't like, well, he isn't like anybody.
Petty Officers Diaz and Edsolar, where is the crystal formation that you found in the shuttle? I have tasked Ensign Calloway with performing a full analysis of the tetrametric pulses.
Security brought it to the containment lab.
I was just there. They don't know anything about it. Security never checked it in.
Miranda never got there?
She's the one that had the crystal formation?
Yeah, her and the rest of the security detail from the negotiations.
Yeah.
Diaz, Tamaris. Carter Diaz to Miranda Maris.
Commander Westbrook to Petty Officer Miranda Maris. Respond.
Something's not right.
She's still on the ship. She has to be.
Computer, locate Petty Officer Miranda Maris.
Petty Officer Miranda Maris is in the isolinear storage array on Deck 5.
I'll go find her.
Good.
I am sure Mr. Diaz can attend to this on his own.
Pretty arrogant then.
Someone improperly pulled these isolinear chips.
Right, okay, I think actually I'm going to have to knock this on the head now because I'm falling asleep, which isn't good. But I'm still enjoying this and I will be back next week for some more. But this feels like a reasonable point to stop, just as the mystery is hotting up. So imagine this is like a cliffhanger, and then next week we'll find out what happens next. I think that works pretty well. Anyway, we'll be back on Monday next week for another show. I haven't played any Starfield. I don't know if Dave has any more, or I know Sean's not playing it anymore, and Matt's probably finished it. I think probably by Monday, but I don't think there's going to be so much Starfield. But I've got a couple of things I want to talk about, including one game that was a bit of a surprise to me, that I've enjoyed very much over the last couple of weeks. So yeah, it should be good. So thanks for watching, and see you next week. Bye bye. It's not Zero Escape.